Basics Class 4, and today's emphasis will be on balancing postures. We've gone over breathing, and we've gone over pelvic bowl and alignment in the class, and we have gone over twists, forward bends, back bends, and standing poses. Last week we did standing poses, so this week we're going to focus on balancing poses. However, we're going to do a full-out practice, so we get warmed up and then we get ready for balancing poses and to understand the fundamentals of balancing poses, and then we'll take it from there when we stand up. So let's start by connecting with ourselves and just letting the rest of the world go on without us, because it's truly about connection to ourselves. So let's soften our face and lengthen our spine. So let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And inhale and exhale. And one more time, inhale and exhale. As we come to center in ourselves, we come to practice yoga, which is union. Union with our physical bodies, but also union with our higher selves, and ultimately union with the divine. So let's approach ourselves with this deep reverence, and not with a judgmental attitude, but with a sense of, I am. And that's the way we approach our mat. And we'll also approach our mat as if it's a magic carpet, and we are going to be able to explore with our magic carpet, up and away, right above some of the daily strains and struggles, with the tools that we have on the mat, which are breath and movement. So let's bring our hands to our heart center and connect with our heart in the deepest of reverence. And let's breathe here. The heart is the portal to the higher self. And breathe into your heart, feeling the expansiveness of what happens to your body when you breathe, as opposed to when you're stressed or worried or constricted. Your body tightens up and shuts down. Or if you turn against yourself, your body does the same thing. It really does turn against itself. That's how powerful we are. So in this practice, we bringing in our angels and guides and our higher self to guide us, as opposed to our mind, which judges. And then inhale and press your sit bones into the earth as we connect with the earth, and take your arms up, all the way up, inhaling up and lengthening the spine. And right here, connecting to your higher self, right there. And then I always plug in. It's like signing online. I plug in. And then I exhale and take the arms out as if I'm smoothing my energetic layers. And I touch the earth and I ground myself. And then I inhale back up, reaching, knowing that I am affecting my energetic field right around me. Bring your hands together and then bring them to your heart. Because it may look like exercise, but it is much more than that. Inhale up, exhale out and around, opening up, cleaning. And one more time, inhale up, and exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. And then we inhale and open our arms out and up, lifting our chest, drop the shoulders down the back. And we talked about the cat-cow tilt. So we're going to be lifting our tail behind us here as we open our hearts, and then round our spine and bring your arms in and around. And then open your heart, just opening out. And then rounding down and feeling some of the tension and worries break away from you as you breathe and move, because the tension and worries are constricting, and the judgments. So we open out this way and then rounding back. And 2 more times, open, breathing, letting the creativity flow, and exhale. And then we'll take our hands all the way out behind us and squeeze your shoulder blades. You can push your hands on the floor, or you can squeeze your shoulder blades and with a mudra that looks like the steeple mudra behind you. Squeezing, lifting the heart. Breathing. Now really breathe in to break out of the confines. Breathe and feel what that breath of life does for you. And then let's bring our hands on our right hip. Both hands behind you, still in the steeple mudra. Push the elbows together, lift the heart, and breathe. Now drop the right ear to the right shoulder. And then come up, and let's take the other side. Squeezing the elbows together, left ear to left shoulder. Breathing there. And then we'll come back to center. And again, we never force anything, ever. So I'm going to slide off my pillow and come onto my mat so that I can get a full range of motion here. But I still want that nice tall spine. Remember we talked about that really long spine. So here we go. We're pressing through the hips, but we're really lengthened. We're warming that body up. Lifting and feeling. This feeling is the key. And then opposite direction. And keep the spine long. We're not forcing anything. We're done forcing and we're done straining. Bring your hands, I'm laughing because I tell myself that. Bring your hands behind you again and bring your knees up. Drop your knees to the right and look to the left. And then switch sides. And then switch again. Now just for review, when we talked about the twists before, we talked about how important it is to have a long spine. Watch this. So drop your spine and see how that twist feels, right? And when you lengthen your spine, you see how the twist feels. It's important to have that long spine. So take it to the other side and long spine and look over your right shoulder. And then come back to center. And let's take the legs out in front, placing your hands right by your hips. Let's pull those toes back. But here's the challenge, lift the heart. And how do I do that? Press into the earth, yes. And then we don't strain anymore. Pull those toes apart. And then pedal. And then open and close and open and close. Good. Get those hips open, yeah. All right, let's swing it around. And we're going to come on all fours to our cow tilt here. Just reviewing this. The hands, it's shoulder, elbow, wrist. And here you are, pulling the cat, like it's a Halloween cat. We pull that up, chin to chest, and then we lift into the cow, pulling the shoulders down the back. The movement originates in the hips, and it flows through the back. And with that, we add our breath. So we exhale, and we inhale. And really be able to hear your breath. So, rounding, and then lifting and pulling those shoulders down the back. That's right. So rounding, tucking the head under, and then lifting without squeezing the neck. Good, beautiful. Now the next time you lift into the cat, move it around and just move your edges around. So tucking the tail under, and then just go ahead and move around as much as it feels for you. Just feeling that movement. Yeah. And then we're going to go into a downward facing puppy. So we're going to lift our tail behind us and walk our hands out as far as we can. Right, walking our hands out. Keep lengthening. Good. Just to stretch. Breathe. And release the shoulders. There you go. And breathe. So keep breathing, softening. Yeah. And if it's available to you, take your hands and move your shoulders side to side if that's available to you. Yeah. Now what we're going to do is drop our hips back to our heels and spread our knees. So here we go. Here, just to move into our hips, right there. So moving into the hips. So we get all parts. And then we come up, and then from there, take your hands to the outside of the mat. Keep your knees together. So now we're keeping the knees together. Drop the hips over to the right. Pressing down and feeling our way through that, right? Good. And then opposite direction. Pressing over, and then coming back up. Now we're probably ready for downward facing dog, so we place our hands flat on the mat, equal distance between all the fingertips, lift the tail, press that mat away, and lift up. Looking toward your navel, breathing and lengthening the spine. And from this first one, we're going to pedal the heels up and down, just pedaling, feeling our way through it. So we're lifting our tail as high as you can. Just keep lifting the tail, breathing into the sensations. You can pick yourself up, you can move around, move your body around, but keep working the cow tilt and softening the shoulders. And then we're going to come to a high plank position. So remember, our shoulders are on top of our wrists, and then we also can drop our knees. And then from there, we'll come down to our chest between our hands, cow tilt. That's a lovely picture. And then we flatten all the way out, and we pull the elbows towards the waist. Now the tops of the feet are on the floor, heels pressed towards one another, chin is tucked under. So really mindful of not pinching the back or the neck, but really mindful that I can almost take my hands off the floor. That's how I have my back engaged, but my hips are pressed towards one another. And we can look over our shoulders. Breathing here, look up slightly as you keep pulling the elbows back towards the waist. And then drop back down, hands by the chest, push up, and then you come all the way back into child's pose. And in child's pose, you can either be palms up or palms down. Breathing here. Feeling here. And then we'll gently bring our hands out in front. If you're not already there. all the way out. We're going to turn our toes and lift our tail, pressing back up into downward facing dog. So softening your edges. Keep softening. Keep playing your edges. So remember, we're lifting the cow tilt. That's it. So keep your hands right where they are as bend your knees. And then I lift. There you go. Pressing up. All right. And here we go. We're going to walk our feet between our hands. So just gently walk your feet between your hands. And then take your upper body and just move around. Just moving the upper body around, releasing. And then we bring our hands up on our shins, right here. And here we are with our cow tilt, with the shoulders down the back. And we're breathing in through the belly and exhale, pull that belly back. Let's flush it through. Inhale, belly. Exhale, pull back. A couple more times. Inhale. This is really crucial to moving the energy in your body through the breath. And then take it down. And then we'll press into our feet. Remember, we talked about building it from the foundation up. Press into your feet and take your arms up and out. We lift ourselves up. Lift up. We build from the bottom up, all the way up. Palms face one another. Now we have that imaginary block between our thighs, and we're squeezing it, and that gives us foundation. Relax your shoulders. That's it. Now we're lines of energy. We've talked about lines of energy and how important the lines of energy are to establish our strength without straining. So now let's bring our hands together. Our pelvic bowl is level here. That's that bowl. And we go through and just round, go through, lifting up. Good. Using the breath. Beautiful. And opposite direction. And then lifting up very tall. Check your shoulders. Make sure you're not straining. But keep the pelvic bowl level as we lift and bend over to your right, keeping the arms right by the ears. A long line of energy. And then take your right hand on your leg and lengthen, pressing in. Look up. Just look up, but keep your chin tucked under. That's it. Just look up, under, as if you're looking under your arm. That's it. And then come up, and let's take the other side. So pull the belly up and in. That's it. Lengthen, and over to the left. So it's not about crunching, it's about that long spine. That's what we talked about. Good. Lengthening and breathing, feeling your way through it, not forcing. And then we drop that left arm down and lifting up, and then bring it all the way up. And let's come back to our hearts and just feel. Sometimes we have so much in our hearts we're afraid to feel. It could burst, it could hurt. So just open yourself up. Look at children, they teach us how to be in our hearts. Okay, so now we do a half sun salutation. Arms down, out, up. Now we know about a back bend, which means we have our imaginary block between our thighs. We push that block forward and we lengthen back because that allows for the back bend. And inhale up. Now push that imaginary block back. So we're going to cow tilt and swan dive down. Soften your knees. Good. Come up on your shins to your flat back. Shoulders away from the ears. And then down. And then all the way up again, stacking it, using the breath. Beautiful. That's beautiful. And then tuck your tail under. And oh, that's great. And up. And then cow tilt, bending right at the hips. Good. Down. And then up on your shins to the flat back. Beautiful. And then down. Wow, you're really doing well. And then up. And then you can take that back bend one more time, tucking under. Good. And up. And bending at the hips. Long, beautiful spine. Good. And flat back. And down. And arms down, out, up. All the way up. And then bring it all home to your heart. Come to your heart. Pretty amazing how simple practice can revitalize you. You don't have to twist in the pretzel. We don't have to do all these major stuff. And simple is good. All right? So let's take it a little bit more because we want to go into the balancing posture. So let's just do some warriors to remind us what it's like to find that space, okay? So to the front of your mats. Arms down, out, up. We lengthen, cow tilt, swan dive down. And then from there, we're going to step back with our left foot and drop the left heel on the floor and see that the heels are lined up to one another. That's what we want. So that left heel is on the floor, lined up. We press into the earth. You can bring your hands up onto your thigh if you want. Bring the hip forward, the left hip forward. Yeah. Pulling in. So hips are front, chest and shoulders front. Good. So that back leg has to be really strong. Beautiful. For me, now I've got to tilt it a little bit more this way. Here we go. Arms down, out, up. Once I'm grounded, I can lift up. If I'm not grounded, I better be best that I don't lift up. Okay? So relax your shoulders. And then feel the lines of energy there in through your body. Just feel that. And orchestrate it because you're the conductor. Breathing. You're the conductor of your life and you're the conductor of your asana practice. And then bring your hands to your heart. That's warrior one. Now we're going to turn out to the side. Here, there you go. And the hips come to the side, so you're actually turned, that's right. Now looking down your right fingertips, relax your shoulders, and lengthen out. Soft. But the back leg is very strong, and we're breathing here. Then take your forearm to your thigh, so we're stretching over as far as we can. And we lengthen up, a beautiful line of energy there. Good. Rotating out. And soften the face. Yeah. Beautiful. And then we take the arm over the ear with the palm down. And there's one long line of energy there. One long line. And you can feel it all the way down to the left side of your foot as you push in. And you're breathing. Final moment. And then we're going to inhale up. And then hold the warrior two. Looking down your fingertips. And then take the Exalted Warrior, which is the right arm up and the left arm down. Pressing in, all the while pushing the knee out over the foot. Trying to get that balance. Good. And then we come back. And then from there, we're going to windmill down to our feet. So windmill all the way down and step back with your right foot into downward facing dog. So we come into downward facing dog. And then into our high plank position, which looks like we're going to do a push-up. And then you can drop your knees if you want. And we take our elbows very close to our body. And we inhale as we lift up. But tuck the tail under. It's a back bend. That's it. Hands into the earth. Shoulders down the back. It should be effortless. Beautiful. Breathing. And then we press back down. And we push into our hands, and we come all the way back, and you can come to child's pose, or you can come to downward facing dog. Lifting up whenever you're ready. Try to get everything in the flow. Now we're going to step our left foot forward into a lunge. And we're going to drop our right heel to the floor. Going to line them up and then bring them up. Bring yourself up. But again, establishing your foundation first. You might have to move your foot. You might have to move it this way or this way. But wherever you are, you're conscious of where you are. And you learn by wobbling. Okay, hips front. Chest front, shoulders front. And here we go. Down, out, up. Pressing through that back leg. And feeling soft but powerful. And breathing. Yeah. We breathe, we feel, we direct the energy. And then bring your hands to your heart center. And then go ahead and turn out to your side in Warrior Two. Same thing here. You try to get the knee over the foot. Right? And you open up. And soften. Right, okay. So from there, placing the left forearm on the left thigh, taking it down, and a long line of energy there with the palm down. Yeah, so feel that length and that openness. So this right hip works its way up, and the left hip works its way under. Okay? Breathing. That's great. Soft face, and yet very powerful. The power's on the inside. Final moment. And then inhale up and rotate back, left arm up, right arm down. Beautiful. Breathing. And now we're going to step forward with our right leg and bring it all home. So step forward. And bring your hands to your heart. And we're going to do a few balance poses here. Remember we talked about the balance, that if you want to do something, you've got to be grounded. Because if I try, and again this is my spine or my body, if I try to do something and I'm not grounded, if I don't ground myself, I have no foundation. So the grounding is the important part. To ground and then lengthen. So lifting up. So when we do these balance poses, you actually lift or you ground through your foot, through this part of your foot. Well, there's lots of different ways, but I usually press 1, 2, 3, 4 points of my foot to balance. And I don't want to be like a monkey where I'm trying to hold on for dear life, and yet you have to be grounded enough. Okay, so let's work on the tree pose first, since our hips are open. Let's pick the toes up and then press them into the floor. And the dristi is your focus point. It's usually about 8 foot out. And we lengthen our legs, we connect. So what, first thing, like pretend we have that block between our thighs and we squeeze the block. And that brings the pelvic bowl into level, right? And the spine is lifted. Now the same thing, okay. Now Amanda, shut your eyes. Now everybody else watch. Now Amanda, bring your head to my hand. So no, but don't come on your toes, just lengthen. There she did it. What happens is, just visualize that there's someone there with their hand right above you, and you're lengthening up, but you have to ground down. You have to really, it's here, okay? So now we'll press into our right foot, put your hands on your hips, and visualize that you have roots into your right leg, into the earth. And then you're just going to turn your hip out. Now what you don't want is this. We have our stack, remember? It's always joint on top of joint on top of joint. So hip, knee, ankle, right. We find our dristi, and you can either keep your ankle and your heel connected, which is beautiful, And then you're grounded, and then lift it. It's once I'm grounded and I'm not stuck, I can lift. And lift could be just right here. And my pelvic bowl needs to be level. And I need to be soft and balanced. Right? That's the first variation of it. Now, you can take it off. We can press the foot into the calf, staying detached from the outcome, just pressing in. And when I feel grounded enough, remember to press into those 4 points of the feet. Now also pretend you have your block here in between your thighs. Squeeze the thighs, because that's Mula Bandha, that lifts up. We talked about that last week. Arms are your branches, but they may not be, they may be closed, they may be open, but now reflect the beauty that you are and breathe. Just breathe. Or if you want, you can take it higher. Typically we don't take it on our knees. You take it wherever it is for you. All right, let's come down out of that one, shake it out. Didn't sound like anybody was breathing. Girls. Okay, other side, here we go. Pressing into the left foot, ground, connect, lengthen, stack, line of energy. You take your foot wherever it honors you. Now the thing about balancing poses is you have to be detached from the outcome. Well, any of the poses, because you think, oh, well, I'm so easy to judge. What you have to do is, if you take your leg higher, is push the foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. And have that balance right there. Lifting up, if it's available to you. It's always challenging if you have slippery clothes on. Tuck your tail under and breathe. And be that beautiful reflection of that tree. Now I'm lifting up, simultaneously pushing down. And here comes a storm. That was my storm. Tuck your tail, and then breathe and let go. So that's the thing about balancing, is it makes you humble. Because you think you fall out of it. You think everybody in the class, oh, everybody just saw me fall. But in actuality, nobody sees you. And you need not to judge yourself, because when you're riding a training wheels, you need to feel that off, on. And that's how you learn. By falling off. They go, oh, this is on. Oh, this is off. That's how we do it, okay? All right, let's take another one. Let's take the dancer's bow. But what I'd like to do is, before we do that, let's go down on all fours and just warm up for a second on this. We're going to prepare for the dancer's bow by coming on all fours and extending your left leg out. Point and flex the foot. And then with this stacked here, extend your right arm out. And then we can reach behind for our foot into our hand. Now if that's not available, just reach behind. Breathing here. And that's going to prepare our back and our neck and shoulders and thighs for the next one. And then take it down. And let's take the other side. Pushing out, point and flex. And then reaching out with the left arm and pull it around. Foot in, push in. So the idea is the same thing, is to push and yield. With a balance pose, we push and yield. This is a balance pose as well. And then we take it down. All right, now let's come to kick it out a little bit. And then right here, take your hands behind you, because the dancer's bow is somewhat of a back bend. Tuck your tail, and let's lift our heart. The more we're warmed up, the easier these are. And then we come up. And then let's come to a standing pose. So everybody's probably saying, oh no, don't bring the camera over to me on this one. Ron, it's your turn. Okay. Press your toes into the earth. And let's balance between heaven and earth. Let's take both arms up and both feet down. Right? So from here, what you're going to do is drop your left arm down. And so we have an equal balance of up and down here. Push into your right foot. Grow those roots that we've been growing every time. And find your back foot the way we did in all fours. Keep the knees together here. Find your dristi, which is your gaze, and stack hip on your right side. Stack your hip, your knee, and your ankle. Think about your foot pushing into the earth. Now, I have to work to keep my tail from really extending out. Now I'm going to push my foot into my hand, but it's still, I'm tucking the tail under slightly. And when I can go no further, I begin to hinge on the top of my leg. And I move with my breath. I let my breath guide me. I push and yield. Sometimes I have to push the foot into my hands, and sometimes I have to yield and soften to take it out. I need to breathe, and I come out, hold it for just a little bit, and then come out. That's the dancer's bow. Let's just release it for a moment. And questions on that? Anybody have any questions on that? Hips?
Yes.
Yeah. The hips feel like they want, and this is what happens a lot of times. Dancers or gymnasts who are so trained to extend will do what I lovingly call the hydrant. See the difference here as opposed to here. This is it, not this. So the hips are forward. The hips stay forward and they push, and you push your foot straight into your hand. And when it can go no further, I'm pulling my belly up and in, and then when it can go no further, I hinge on the top of my leg. And I move with awareness and breath, not with compulsion. Okay? That answer your question?
Yes.
So your hips are front, just like in Warrior One. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so now press into your left foot. Let's bring both arms up so we have equal up and down. Take the right arm down, equal up and down. Press into the left foot. Grab hold of the foot. Bring the inner thighs together here. Bring the knees together and establish your pelvic bowl. Your pelvic bowl is level here. Tuck the tail. You can grab on the inside or the outside of your foot. It doesn't matter. Whichever's comfortable for you. And we push the foot into the hand. And then we hinge on the top of the left leg. Finding our way, breathing without straining. Keep breathing and feeling and pushing and yielding with those lines of energy. And learning by coming out. Just breathe and then take a breath and come on out. All right, let's take a forward fold to release that. Inhale, arms down, out, up. Exhale down. And just release. And then come back up. And then hands to your heart. So now we'll do the eagle. Do you have questions on the dancer's pose? Okay. So just doing these standing poses. The eagle, we're going to bring our arms out and we establish our feet into the earth. Again. And we bring the right arm under the left and give ourselves a hug. So I'm going to do it. And then give yourself a hug. So really opening up. And then lift so the back of your arms are against one another. And then take the wrap. Now the wrap shouldn't look like this. Right? You want the wrap here. And if the wrap isn't available to you, just bring the back of your hands together. Or if that's not available to you, just bring like so. So here we are, and we lift our shoulders up and down and all around just to loosen them up. This is a good warm-up, just even if you weren't going to do the eagle. Okay. Now, from here, we're going to again set our dristi, and we're going to sit into an imaginary chair. And look down and make sure you can see your toes. We're going to press into our left foot and lift that right leg up. And the trick here is just cross your inner thighs, not to cross wide, that's hard. Now you can take your left foot on the floor, or you can bring it up. Or if you're feeling very flexible and you have that flexibility in your ankles, you can wrap it. If you lift the elbows up for a deeper stretch, and you breathe here. Just breathe and stay like the eagle soaring above everything. But it's really working your lymphatic system. You're just squeezing your inner thighs together and your underarms. And let's take it out. And let's bring it down. And release. And you can feel, it's as if your body just got a flush. And inhale up. And let's take a back bend just to counterbalance. And up. And hands to heart. And breathe. Okay, let's take the other side. So now the arms come out. And it's left arm under right. Left arm under right. Give yourself a hug. And then wrap. And then lift, so you're on the other arm, right? Okay, so lifting up and down. And then sitting back into your imaginary chair so that you can look down and see your toes. Right. And now we'll press into our right foot and lift that leg up to wherever up is for you. So we don't judge it, but we try to have that really long spine. And then maybe lift your arm, elbows up. Good. Breathing. Stay detached from the outcome. Just breathe. Be in this moment, realizing that you're giving your body a nice deep squeeze. And then release it out. Arms down, out, up. And then take a swan dive down. Up on your shins to a flat back. Good. And straighten the legs on the flat back. And then take it down, all the way down. And step back into a downward facing dog, just for a change. Breathing there. Those balancing poses can be intense. And if you want to, you can come to your belly. And get coming there by a high plank position. Or the knees are lowered and we take it down, push into your hands, elbows into the waist, tuck the tail, pull that belly up and in, and breathe. And then we drop back down and push back to child's pose for a moment. And then we're going to come back up. We're going to push up to downward facing dog again. A few breaths here. And then we're going to walk our feet between our hands one more time, practicing non-violence on ourselves. Press into your feet and we come out, down, out, up. And bring your hands to your heart center. Now the next one we're going to do is called Warrior 3. Warrior 3 is, it's a standing T. And the best way to describe it is for the muscles, just like we did in the dancer's bow, where we bent right here at the top of the thigh. That's the only bend that happens in Warrior 3. And the muscles hug the bones, and that's the only rotation. So what happens, we come into mountain pose and we establish a firm foundation. Pressing. And then step forward with your right foot and place all of your weight on your right foot. And remember the 4 spots that we talked about in your right foot, that you anchor yourself into the earth. And here I have strong lines of energy. My muscles are hugging the bones, but I'm not so tense like that. I'm lengthening. I have my pelvic bulbous level, and I lift it, and top of my toe goes on the back of the mat, just very tippy top. And I find the length and strength here, and I'm trying not to collapse as I hinge, pushing and yielding, finding my way to hinge on the top of that thigh. Breathing there. Now, you find that space. That place might be still down on the floor, and it might be up, but you stay detached, right? And the foot beneath you, you're anchoring yourself, and then the arms can be out in front, a little bit more challenging, but if you're just beginning, one of the better places to do this is to be back. Breathe here, feel the muscles hug the bones, lift your heart, soften and breathe, and then we come out, and we shake it out. Yeah, the tendency is people don't like balance poses. You know why? They're hard, but they're also, we stop breathing. we do, we just like. So we need to breathe, and that's the key. Your breath is actually telling you how hard you're working. And if you can't breathe, you're working too hard. Okay? So let's try the other side. We press, we stand nice and tall. And we press, and we always come from mountain pose, and then we press into our left foot and lengthen. Breathing here. And you might be here for a year. But if you're here, right there, stable for a year, that is beautiful. And then you find your way. That's right. We're not being greedy. We just find our way by anchoring and lengthening up. But remember to keep, it's easier to keep everything long than it is to collapse it. Because try collapsing it now. Everything feels much heavier. But if you press into the earth, it feels, and lengthen, everything is easier. And then we'll come back and shake it out. How'd you find that?
Nice.
Yeah, it's not as bad, huh? It's not that bad. Once you start breathing and once you have the muscles hugging the bones and the pushing and the yielding, it's much softer. It's all much softer, right? Let's do a balancing pose that's also called the dancer. And we're going to press into our right foot. Actually, let's push back into the chair pose for a moment, just to really get anchored. Find your drishti and bring your hands to your heart, sitting back. So this is a little bit of a balancing pose, even though it's standing, because you bring your arms out in front and see if you can stay pretty focused here with the strength and the length. Breathing. Soften. Yeah, that's great. Try to keep that spine tucked under a little bit. Tuck your tail. Inhale, bring your hands to your heart. And then we're going to inhale up. Exhale back. Tuck your tail under. Inhale up. And come down to mountain pose again. Breathing. Just being, feeling. Okay, one more. Pressing into your right foot, same thing, we ground ourselves. We bend here so we can look down to see our toe. But we're going to lift our left leg across, and this time we're not wrapping, we're just holding. And then bringing your arms up so that the arm is on top. Just holding this, breathing. And sometimes you can switch arms. It's a type of dancing, a switch. But it helps you really have to squeeze those inner thighs together, don't you? And bend that bottom knee. Okay, release. Yeah, the more you keep the bottom leg straight, the harder it is on this one. It's like the eagle. Everybody thinks that the eagle would be easier if my bottom leg is straight, but it's actually easier if it's bent. So that's one of the ones that is different. Okay, let's try the other side. So press into your left foot, bending. You have a nice, remember our rule of a nice long spine. Once you get established, you press. And I always like to pretend I'm like the Karate Kid on top of a pier over the ocean. Here. Of course, he's changed feet. I don't need this, but its visuals are good. Breathing. Being that amazing being that is focused and balanced, and maybe changing the arms. But staying detached from the outcome. And then release. Okay, lace your fingers behind you. You need to release it all. Tuck your tail under and lift your heart. Because the balance poses teach us focus and strength, but we also want to use them for to bring balance into our lives. Okay, lift your tail. We're going to release everything. We're going to bend forward, softening your knees, and breathing here. Let your come to your edges and breathe. And then from there, let your arms drop down. Grab hold of your elbows around the top of your head and just move your head side to side as if you're saying no. And then chin to chest as if you're saying yes. And then we'll take our hands to the floor and we'll make our way back to the floor all the way down. And from here, we're going to come into a type of a back bend, which are invigorating, but you're going to place your head on the floor and arms down by your side and lift your legs up. The reason I chose this one, this is also a type of a balance. And you can either bring your hands, leave them on the floor, or just leave your forehead on the floor, or lace your fingers behind you and lift whatever to your edges. Breathe. Find that balance between strain and strength. There should be no strain, between ease and grace. Let it all flow. And then come down, place your hands by your heart and push back to child's pose. Now there's one more balance pose that we take on the floor, but I'm going to show you the basic of it. So come on to all fours, and we're going to stack our right hand. So it's shoulder, elbow, wrist. Bring your right knee in, take your left leg out so the foot's on the floor. Right? Left leg's out. So my shoulders here become stacked. When I lift my left arm up, my shoulders are stacked. Breathing here. Opening up. Now this is a type of a balance. Right? Keep that base foot really anchored to the earth. And then eventually what you can do is lift that left leg off the floor. But you have to have the balance underneath. So really use your core to lift. For you, that's lift your leg off the floor. Good. So your right leg. Breathing. That's one way to balance and come down. And I'll show you the other way. But it isn't a yoga basics, but from there, the balance comes to the side plank. But we're not going to do that today because that's not yoga basics. All right, let's come to the other side. All right, so we're on all fours, and make sure, some of us did the other arm, so make sure you, whatever arm is your supporting arm, that it's stacked, and extend the opposite leg behind you, pressing into the earth so it's a straight line. And then when the shoulders come up, remember, are stacked. Our hips are stacked here, shoulders are stacked, line of energy, pull that belly up and in, and feel the length and the strength. And then perhaps lifting your back leg off the floor, but that takes really finding that balance and using your core. Don't lift with just your back. Breathing there. And you could spend a long time in your practice with your leg down. Breathing, all right, and then again, drop all the way down. And eventually what you would do is stack and lift. And there's all kinds of fun things to do there. But we're going to child's pose. Down we go. Breathing here. And then come all the way back up. All right. Everybody's favorite balance pose on the earth. It's called the boat. We're going sailing. So lift your hips up, or rather your heart up. And what you're going to do is maintain a long spine. If you round your spine, you're going to just become Humpty Dumpty, which is how you learn. But if you lift, with that rule that we always keep the elbows to the waist and the heart is lifted, we find the balance here. We're just on the tail, just a little bit. You might take one leg down, one leg up, and play here, soften. But use your core and keep it soft. This is not strength. The ease is the strength. So there's no longer straining. That's it. You can take one leg or the other leg, or you can lift both legs out, or keep them here. But wherever you are, you just want to be there and breathe. Just breathe without attachment. And then come back in. Let's bring our knees out to the side and lift your heart up. And then we're going to roll back. Just go ahead and roll all the way back and bring your knees to your chest and roll around. One direction and then the other. And then we're going to get ready for our spinal twist and prepare for Shavasana. So taking your arms out to your side. Take your knees over to the left and look to the right. Soft. And then bring your knees up and change sides. Your knees over to the left or right and look to the left. So no matter what's going on in the outside world, you still learn to focus inward. We still learn that we can hear it, but we don't go there with our mind. We stay interiorized. And let's come back to center and take your right knee in and your left leg long. Stretching out. Lengthening out. Good. Soft face. Breathing. And And then switching sides. Lengthening. Feeling your edge. And coming back to center. And then we're taking any one final stretch that you want to take. Maybe you want to do bridge pose, where you bring your feet close to your buttocks, or you stretch out long. Let me lift you. Lengthen your legs. It feels yummy. Yeah. Yeah. So from there you might want to go right into Shavasana. Bring your arms down to your side. Yeah. So bring your feet a little bit wider here. Yeah. And then lengthen here. So bring your feet out towards me. There. So they're perpendicular. Good. Snuggle those shoulder blades. Good. Yeah. So you find that edge where your heart is above your head, but you are in a place of ease and yet strength. So you balance the two of them. Yeah. Stretch your legs out. And then go ahead and prepare for Shavasana. So if anybody needs a pillow, you want your bolster? Yes. Uh-huh. Alright, so let's take a deep breath in and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Opening up, relax your shoulders and just let go here. Feeling now the opposite of everything that we have done in the class. In the class we have talked about muscles hugging the bones. We've talked about length and strength. And here we are really focused on letting go. Each breath, feel it wash over you. And feel how the more you let go, the more you can feel. Sweet surrender. Nothing's happening as you watch yourself breathe. And each breath you watch how the breath washes over you. And we can call that the grace, divine grace. We open our hearts to allow ourselves to receive. It's always there, we're just too busy. We're too closed off to allow the grace to flow. So just like you might be sunbathing, let yourself be energy bathing here. You are a child of the universe. And part of our journey is to own it. gently begin to wiggle your fingers and toes and bring yourself back. Go ahead and bring your knees to your chest and roll over on your right side. And be that little child. Gently press yourself up into a seated position. And it's always good, like we said in the beginning, to have your hips above your knees. So that's great. Good practice. So we're still interiorized. Our hands to our heart center in the deepest of gratitude. For this beautiful day, for this beautiful planet, for this beautiful body, heart, mind, and spirit, which is all used for the expression of the divine through us. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. So be it. Namaste.